I just want to start talking about their slogan, "Because I'm worth it." That started back in the 1970s. The women's movement at that time had not really caught up to advertising yet. And this was very unusual because in the commercial, the woman talked herself about her feelings and her experience with the product. At this time, yes, the husbands were still doing the talking for women. Some of their products are vegan and some are clean, some are gluten-free. Now on their website, they say they're cruelty-free. I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. Certain health authorities may nevertheless decide to conduct animal tests themselves for certain cosmetic products, as is still the case in China. L'Oreal has been actively working with the Chinese authority and scientists for over 10 years to have an alternative testing method recognized. Thanks to this, since 2014, certain products manufactured and sold in China, like shampoo, body wash, are no longer tested on animals. So I looked into this a little bit more, and all the information that I could find says that this only applies for very special, specific cosmetics that are exempt. Experts say that post-market testing on animals is uncommon and very unlikely to happen. However, it can still take place in China. So on L'Oreal's website, it would appear that maybe they are exempt, but on all the blogs that I checked that talk about cruelty-free status, none of them have L'Oreal as exempt and cruelty-free. So I am going to say right now that they are not cruelty-free. How did L'Oreal start? A guy named Eugene was enrolled in the Institute of Applied Chemistry. He graduated in 1904. He worked as a laboratory assistant at Sorbonne, and then he worked as a university researcher. Then an owner of a large barbershop came in looking for assistance in developing a synthetic hair dye, and at this time, hair dyes were not commonly used by French women. The majority of the products on the market at this time was very toxic and irritated the scalp because a lot of them were lead-based concoctions. So Eugene agreed to work with a barber as a technical advisor. However, like most entrepreneurs or business owners, founders, he realized he did not like working for someone else, so he parted ways with the barber. But he saw that there was a need, so he kept playing around with different dyes, and in 1909, he established a French company. Inoffensive Hair Dyes was the name of it. You can imagine that doesn't really have a ring to it, so it was later changed to L'Oreal. Currently, L'Oreal is owned mainly by the Bettencourt Myers family. They own 34.7% of the company, and this is an interesting point. A Swiss-based company selling processed foods and drinks, Nestle, they own 20.1%. The company was publicly traded first in 1963. Why is it called L'Oreal? Its explanation is that it's an acronym to Aureale, which was a popular hairstyle at that time. There was some logo changes over the years, 1909 to 1910, then 1910 to 1911, 1911 to 1914, 1914 to 1962, 1962 to now. Eugene was the first to write about doing patch tests and to make sure that the person did not have reactions. This little fact will come into play later, but he was also involved heavily in politics, and he joined the Freemasons. He did leave the group 3 years later. There was documentation that he had been a Nazi supporter when he was in the group. In 1925, he invented L'Oreal Dior, which was the first hair lightening product. It created golden shimmer tints. 1957, Eugene dies. Lillian, who was 35 at the time, she inherited the entire L'Oreal empire. 1965, L'Oreal acquired Lancome, which FYI, I didn't know Lancome had been around that long. Let me know if you would like to learn more about Lancome in future. 1974, Nestle owned a stake in L'Oreal. It appears that L'Oreal and the France government, since Eugene was involved in the Freemasons, that there was some intermixing of going-ons. So Lillian requested Nestle to purchase them. It is said that she did this because she was trying to prevent the French state's intervention in the company because Nestle is located in Switzerland. 1995, L'Oreal purchases Maybelline. 2008, they purchased YSL Beauty. And in 2023, L'Oreal buys Aesop in a $2.5 billion deal. As you can see, L'Oreal, they have bought a lot and they own a ton of brands. They also have a physical store in Paris. If anyone has been there, please let me know how it is. I'm so interested, and yeah, I'd love to go there someday. As far as where their products are made, they are made all over. They have factories in France, Indonesia, China, even in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the US. A little bit of scandal. In February of 2022, there was actually a lawsuit against the company accusing them of using terms like L'Oreal Paris and French phrases on the label. Veronica, the plaintiff, she said that L'Oreal's products are not made in France, but are designed in the US and manufactured in all those other countries, including in North America. She argued that American consumers associate with French brands with prestige, and they're willing usually to pay more for brands that they think are made in France versus their US counterparts, which I will admit that when I see a brand is made in France, I do feel fancy. According to the lawsuit, she says that she purchased products from L'Oreal and did not read the fine print detailing that it was made in the US. So before I tell you the outcome of that, what do you think? Was that a frivolous lawsuit, or do you think that she had a point? Well, L'Oreal won. The judge decided that L'Oreal's use of the word Paris and French words on packaging would not deceive reasonable consumers of where a product's made. Let me walk you through this, and I'm going to try to keep things straight. Lillian, who's the daughter of Eugene, the founder, in 1950, she married Andre Bettencourt. Her father passed away, like I mentioned, when she was 35 years old. She inherits the entire L'Oreal empire. At one of her photo shoots, the photographer was Frances Marie Bagnard. She was still married, but they did become friends, and she showered him with gifts, including a 5-story building in Paris. She even went on to sign over her entire art collection to him. She gave him a life insurance policy worth 250 million euros. And another one worth 262 million euros. It is totally estimated that the gifts that she had gave him totaled over $1.5 billion, US dollars. And in 2006, she had an accident and she became disoriented. He hired the staff that was in charge of her recovery, and it is said that she was taking 52 pills a day. So who could even function and know what's going on with that many pills a day? And during this time, you may see where this is going. She transferred a bulk of her money to him, the photographer. When Lillian's accountant became aware of what was going on, she reported this to Lillian's daughter. But by this time, the photographer had become really close with Lillian, and so the daughter said that her relationship with her mom had become strained by this. In 2007, the daughter went to court and filed a criminal complaint against the photographer. I'm just instead of using their names because I got confused when I was reading it, that's what I'm saying. So she wanted to have her mother put under a court order guardianship. That would mean that Lillian would lose control of voting stocks in L'Oreal, which created more friction between the mother and daughter. The trial was originally scheduled for September 2009, It got delayed until July of 2010. A month before the trial, it came to light that the butler planted a tape recording in a room where Lillian held meetings. He said that the reason he did this was because he was fearful that she had Alzheimer's, so he was trying to protect her so she didn't get taken advantage of. There was a total of 21 hours worth of recordings. Well, some of these conversations included talking with her financial advisors and high-ranking French government officials. There was even a conversation where they were openly discussing tax evasion strategies, talking about an island she owned and how it was undeclared in her tax records, which, by the way, she also gave that island to the photographer. These tapes, they found out that she made that photographer her sole heir. And then also what was strange is she had said that she had forgotten that she gave him these gifts, including the islands. At this time, the French president then became interested in the case. He was worried if Lillian lost control over Loreal, the board could vote to move the headquarters to Switzerland since Nestle, had shares in it. In 2011, a ruling finally happened. It was proved that Lillian was found to have dementia since 2006. The photographer was sentenced to 3 years in prison, given a 350,000 euro fine, and was ordered to pay back over 158 million euros and give back 2 of his properties. Some of the government officials also had fines and prison time, but pretty much got out of both. In 2016, the photographer's prison sentence, it was suspended and the fine was dropped. So basically he got away with taking advantage of her. The mother and daughter relationship did improve at this time, and the daughter did end up getting control of Loreal. Since I want to do the product reviews in a separate video, I would love to know, what are your favorite Loreal products, or what have you been curious about and you want to know more? I hope that this video was interesting, and I do hope to get back to a more normal schedule about the brand histories. If you want to see some past brand histories, then you can click on any of these videos that interest you next. See you over there in the comments. Bye.